Yes, people, welcome back again to the channel. I really appreciate you guys coming back on here again. Second video after day. This one is solo video and one reggae boy play, and then we're going to preview the Jamaican Premier League, the games that coming up tomorrow and Monday. Monday Night Football will be a blockbuster. Yes, Craig Butler will be in Jerusalem. Yes, and the last game of the Monday night fixtures, Arnett Garden will play Firehouse. You don't know, big rivalry in the Jamaican Premier League. But reggae boy player, man, Shamar Nicholson, look, I'm so happy. Yeah, we criticize Shamar Nicholson, so many times, especially on this platform, because we want the best for Boza, because we know that Boza is a player that, he can just pop up and score a goal at any given time. You understand? He scored loads, of course, for the reggaeboyz team. And if he scored, we're going to come out and give him his props. But then again, we want these stuff to be on a consistent basic way. We can come actually every week or every other week, and to celebrate a Shamar Nicholson, achievement of play good, getting assists, getting goals, bringing up his goal tally. But Boza finally get his goal of the season. Boza is off the mark. Yes, Boza off the mark for World Cup qualifiers in the third round. Yeah, scored the fourth goal. And Bermuda as well. Scored the fifth goal last night. And Leon, a very good team of themselves. Look, it's a different team. It's a different team. Shamar Nicholson, actually is playing for at this moment. It's the same club, but different coaches at the helm. Sebastian Abaru, very good manager. He's a striker himself.
Well, first is in normal the goal celebrations. I usually experience them that way. And as if it were the time when I was a forward, I take them personally. So in some more special cases, due to the need of the moment, like it was with Adoni or today with Yamal, who needed that goal to regain confidence.
So you would have known exactly what Boza, is going through at this moment. The goals have been dried, but I want to say this. I was bleaching last night watching the Shamar Nicholson game. I think it started like 11:15, somewhere right there, 11:15 p.m. Just a little bit under hour of midnight. And I was watching it go right back until around 1 a.m. in the early hours. And the goal that Boza scored, it's not just the goal. It's not just the effort he made to get the ball inside of the box. It was the aftermath after the ball went in. Everybody, literally almost everybody, the coaching staff and the players run towards Shamar Nicholson to congratulate him. That shows me that these sets of players, the manager himself, as I said, this is a manager, back in his playing days, he played so many games in Brazil, so many games in Argentina, so many games, even for Real Sociedad in the Spanish La Liga. So he played all over in Israel. So he would have been, an experienced campaigner in his time of playing, as a striker for many different clubs. So he knew exactly what Shamar Nicholson was going through, and he knew exactly what support a striker will need, in these joyful times of not getting the goals. And he know for a player like Boza, who is on big money contract, for Club Tijuana, know the pressure that he's under right now in Mexico. But I want to get it clear out there that, look, the team look way different. The team look way different than when a Shamar Nicholson is playing. Even back in the Carlos Osorio early phase, before he got the sack in the first, I think it was the second phase of the campaign. Now they're in their first phase that started August, and I think it's the Apertura. So looking at it now, under this manager, the team is playing with a lot more fluidity up front, a lot of more flexibility. The striker that they brought in from Elche, the Moroccan, very good player. But this manager is getting something out of the squad, and I hope that Shamar Nicholson can get involved with this. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself, because the situation with Shamar Nicholson at this moment for Club Tijuana, his situation is he's not the most important player in around the project at this moment. Yes, he's still a part of the plans, but he's not the most important figure around. He's not the first choice off the bench as a number 9 anymore off the bench. Yeah, he's not the first choice anymore to start. So he's going to have to work on one shot off target, one shot on target, 4, accurate passes. Look, as a striker, as someone that short on confidence, yeah, these are the little small details, can get back your confidence, you regain back momentum. And I'm hoping that Big Boza can actually, to help this lift the spirit as it did happen for the reggaeboyz team versus Bermuda. Look at the duoship of the partnership with Kahim and Big Boza form on that pitch when they played together over the last international window for the reggaeboyz in September. So he had a few bright sparks. He had a few moments where he smiled to say, okay, I'm feeling back myself on the pitch, I'm feeling back myself on the grass. I can do the regular things that Shamar Nicholson, I'm used to do in the past. But Boza is far away from where I would love him to be. I want him to be more professional, is what he's doing. I want him to be, more hungry. I want him to actually dig a little bit more deeper, searching for that new Shamar Nicholson that can, not to give up on his way in Mexico as yet. But as I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself because it is what it is at this moment. The situation around Shamar Nicholson name and Club Tijuana and the fans, yes, they would have pleased to see the Shamar Nicholson get a goal at home. Look at the joy, look at the celebration, look at how the collective of support that they gave to Shamar Nicholson. So that would have been a nice good touch and a nice good gesture. We are with you, Big Boza. We are with you, Rima Jesus. So again, hopefully this is something that can happen, in another stretch of games. But the team is well looking sharp in getting into the playoffs. I'm so happy, for him, and I'm so happy for his club. It was a disaster run after the second phase, under one Carlos Osorio. Now this coach brought a little bit of fresh lights, ahead for the Club Tijuana team. So that's all I have to say around Boza. He got his goal and he created as well. So I have nothing else to say. He was amazing, just to do the right stuff, the basic. He was amazing by doing the basic, coming off that bench in the last 10 minutes of that game, to his team already won the game. It was a brilliant first half of football. I've never seen his team play such a fantastic first half of game, so the team is growing. So I'm hoping that Boza can dig something out of the rabbit hole and try to get back a momentum. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough uphill battle, for Shamar Nicholson to find back himself around this team. If he's going to do it, he's going to have to pick his moments in the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes that he's going to get off of the bench, and then. But again, I want him to just stick to what worked for him back then. Stick what worked for him. Trying to get a contract from out of the Red Brigade. When he went to Domzale, when he went to club Sporting Shaliori and all these clubs, he was a top professional at that time still. But he needs to do the right things and be as a pro model and do the right things that can get him back to the pinnacle of people can say Boza is the man again. But he's far away from the Boza what we used to 3-4 years ago. You understand? So hopefully this can give him that small inch of momentum of, okay, yes, I can find back something, I can get back a little bit of juice inside of the golden foot of Shamar Nicholson. So that's it I have to say. Stick around the JPL. Yeah, the JPL in the JPL segment will come up. So the JPL in 5 preview will chip in right after this. Yeah, the JPL in 5 preview, the games coming up on Sunday and Monday. First one out of the blocks, Portmore versus Mobile. yeah, one of the struggling team versus the the top hot running team in the Jamaican Premier League at this moment. Mobile in the last three, man, 3 from 3 in the last three, 10 points on the board so far, meanwhile Portmore, it's just up and down. Yes, they would have won that last game that they played versus the newly promoted team, Spanish Town Police. They would last that game, versus Chapitan Maroon. So it's not so perfect right now for Rudolph Austin and Portmore. They would have played Tivoli Garden and draw Tivoli. They would have played Dumbo All in that first game. They would won that game, but again, this will be a very tough game for Portmore. And if you look at it, as much as Portmore is up and down this season in their last 4 games, they played 4 games so far and they had 3 clean sheets. 3 clean sheets so far. So they would have beat Spanish Town in the last game with a clean sheet. They would have draw versus Tivoli with a clean sheet, 0-0 draw, and they would have played Dumbo Olin and beat them 2-0. So Portmore have been one of the better team in the last defensively in the last 3 seasons. When you look at it, they're always in that top 2 ranking team as the best defensive team in the league. So I don't know what is going on, but it's all about for Portmore to put the ball in the back of net. They struggle to find that prolific striker. We saw Walsh, I think he scored like 9 goals in that season where they were so good, but Jamie Lynch is not there at this moment, gone back overseas to another Vietnamese club in the second tier. So they're looking for that goal scorer, but it's a team that normally share the goals amongst each other. But for any team to have any success in the Jamaican Premier League or any league phase, you need someone to put the ball in the back of the net consistently, where when the chips are down, you need that player to step up and get the goals. But for Mobile, they have one of the hottest striker, one of the hottest attacking player in the league, Dwight Merrick at this moment. Is a fantastic job. You'd have scored a brace last game versus Tivoli Garden at Catrinal. Jordan Fletcher, their golden boy, scored in that game as well. So he's in amongst the players, chipping in with the goals. But Mobile, they look so strong. Yeah, Mobile looks so strong. Tough season is coming up. Look, Xavier Gilbert, failure for Arnett Gardner 2 last season. No trophies delivered in the league. He must deliver for this Mobile team. And then when you look at it, Mobile last 5 fixtures, look, they would have played Dumbo Olden, they would have played Arnett Garden, they would have played Tivoli Garden, they would have played Mount Pleasant twice, and they all got something from all those games, expect the Arnett Garden game. So, they are very good away on the road. And, Mobile as a team, they scored in all 5, they scored in all those 5 away games that they played. So, they're looking to match up back of what they left up off. And when you look at even their last 4 fixtures, they all scored goals. The 2-2 draw versus Mount Pleasant, the 3-1 win over Treasure Beach, 2-1 over Dumbo Olin, and the 3-1. So they scored goals everywhere they go. Is it at home or is it at away? And I remember a few seasons back, they have one of the best streak of continued to score in consecutive games on the bounce in the Jamaican Premier League. So it's a team, goals is everywhere in this team. But with Portmore, when you look at Portmore, even though they have one of the best defensive records in the last couple of Jamaican Premier League, they struggle to play against the top teams. They struggle to get results consistently. It will be a tall order for Portmore even to get something from this game, because this Mobile team, they actually running and they red at right now, one of the hottest team in the Jamaican Premier League. And I will go on to Dumbo Olin Racing. Look, Dumbo Olin have never beat Racing before in the Jamaican Premier League. I don't know what was the results like in tier 2 football, but they have never beaten Racing in the JPL before. And what Dumbo Olin have done in the last game, Coco Nelson would have involved in all those 2 goals that Dumbo Olin scored and Mullines, but Racing, what they did last weekend in the St. Best State, And, Racing, what they have done, versus Treasure Beach, another newly promoted team, beating them 4-2, but they're right in that game, Treasure Beach. But Racing will give up opportunities, what I've said, but it's a team that will outscore, and it's a very young team, the leadership around the group, it's very good, and they believe in the squad is good, not, you will say, some of the most excited superstars in the Jamaican Premier League. Yes, Markovich Brown, the leader, the skipper of that team, the man that who anchor that team, Nikolai Ellis, one of the most prolific number 10 in the Jamaican Premier League at this moment. Yes, they have a few bodies, but when you talk about, overall as a team, as a unit, that's Racing United for you. And Anthony Patrick, what he is going to do, this season, can he add another season, to the Jamaican Premier League campaign? Look, a newly promoted team, their first campaign last season, they doing, such a fantastic job down at the race course behind after Cayman Park. But when you look at it, Racing, have won their last 3 games. I think they played like 3 games. One of their games were postponed, and the last time, a Racing team won 3 games on the bounce, it was last season, match day 19 to match day 21, and they got, they during that run, they went on to not even concede 1 goals, and they played Tivoli, Via United, and Harbourview, and during that spell, they went to win the 4th straight game. So if they can go on to beat Dumbo Olin, which record, and the stat sheet shows that Dumbo Olin have never beaten Racing in the JPL, they will match that record of, from match day 19 to match day 22. And, Cavaliers versus Treasure Beach, Treasure Beach yet to beat Cavalier. I remember, the season that, Treasure Beach got promoted for the first time in the Jamaican Premier League. I don't even know, it's a donkey years, but again, they got 1-0 and they got 5-0 down there, at Stets, and they never scored on this Cavalier team. And Cavaliers have been a punching bag for the newly promoted teams, They normally goes on to win these games, and you will say it's a strange season at this moment, for Cavalier, been always in the Caribbean Champions Cup for the last couple of seasons in a row. So they've been playing midweek weekend. So they getting a little bit of a slow start. But if Treasure Beach going to get something from this game, it has to be the game coming up tomorrow. They would have been a little bit tired, play that game at the National Stadium, midweek versus the Trinidad team, Police Force. They went all out to get that 3 points. Their campaign was on the line, trying to defend their crown as well. But poor finishing, in that game for Treasure Beach versus Racing. You will say, young, Yaya, Farmer, Boystone player, his dad was a legend, Kirk Porter as well, young Porter. So he got his moments versus Racing. Yes, he scored one of those goals, but he got that goal where he could have equalized to the game 3-3. But Treasure Beach, as a newly promoted team, they are, you talk about, it's much more of a stronger unit. They're trying to better what they did in that last campaign that they had. I think it was 23-24 season, but I just think Cavalier will have too much in this game for them. Tivoli, will play, Molines. Look, Molines, yet to score, and Tivoli in the last 3 games. So, the results are in Jerome Wade and Tivoli are the favor at this moment. They need a win. This Tivoli team need a win, and it's been ups and downs. And when you look at that game that they played, versus Montego Bay, in that first half they concede the entire goals in that first half play. It was poor. It was lethargic. It was sluggish. I don't know what Tivoli was doing in that game. But when you look at Tivoli, versus Molines, look, head to head, it's not so good for Molines. That's why I said, on the stat sheets, it should go Tivoli Gardens way. But for Tivoli, their last game, they only won 1 game of this season, and it only came, against Spanish Town Police. Yes, they drew with Portmore United. They lost their first game versus Chapitan Maroon. So, Jerome Wade need these 3 points. And again, Jerome Wade, how much he can continue to drain from this Tivoli team to get in the utmost, quality out of them to try to actually let them produce and to continue to get into the playoff spot, in another Jamaican Premier League season. And, moving on to the Monday Night Football, Chapitan Maroon will play Police. Look, Craig Butler, 4 games played, 3 games won. He coming off of a 1-0 loss at home versus Arnett Garden. Can they bounce back? That will be the big question. Can they bounce back? But Police, they need to start to pick up points. Yes, they need to start to pick up points. They're conceding. They are not scoring. I think they only scored like 1 goal so far. So they are not scoring, and they're conceding a lot of goals. So how can that match up? Will they be the next Lima in the Jamaican Premier League season? I don't know, but they need a result. But again, you will say Craig Butler should be licking his lips going in this game, the first game after doubleheader on Monday, and the one that to close it out, Arnett Garden versus Waterhouse. That will be, a blockbuster game, inside of the Jerusalem Mini Stadium. Waterhouse, it's been a rocky road versus Arnett Garden, one of the bitter rivals in the Jamaican Premier League. The last time I think they beat Arnett Garden was probably back in 2022 or 21, but I think it was 21. So Arnett Garden been unbeaten versus Waterhouse team in the last 8 to 10 games. So very good record. But Philip Williams, if he's going to change the Junglist fans' mind of what they think of him, of even the ones that thinking about he's not the right man to lead the Junglist team, to get another league title. These are the games that he must goes into and win these games. Look, he cannot be that coach that comes in and go to lose against this Waterhouse team. And again, what Waterhouse have done in their last game at home versus Harbourview, they throw away a 1-0 lead, in the dying moment. So they need to start to pick up points. Look, the pressure will be climbing on Marcel Fozagale and the assistant. But let me know what you guys think. That's the JPL in 5. That's the preview show. Looking forward for the games on the weekend as well. So bless up. Thanks for watching. This is Nicardo Media House. Salute.